Welcome to Healing and Made Free with Janet Boynes Ministries. Thank you for listening. Janet will be talking about her struggle with addiction, alcohol, drugs, eating disorders, unwanted same-sex attraction, and living a homosexual life. Janet has survived all those things by the grace of God. Janet's not a doctor, she's not a therapist, she's not a psychotherapist, she's not a licensed counselor. Janet is an ordained pastor and wants to show you God's promises, how God has set her free, and how you can be set free. What He has done for her, He will do it for you. If healing and freedom are what you want, you have come to the right place at the right time. Let's get started. Here is Janet Boynes.
I have a good friend of mine from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Micheal Minton. Hi, Micheal.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good, Micheal. I'm really excited to have you on because there's so many fathers out there that are going through some of the things that you're going through right now. And we're going to talk about that. But give us a little history about who is Micheal. I know you're married, but my audience don't know. I know you have 2 children, but my audience don't know. Share a little bit about your family.
Well, I've been married to my lovely bride for 26 years. Well, we met at Bible school, and we ended up having 2 wonderful children. Our son, who is the oldest, who just turned 26, and next week our youngest, our daughter, well, she'll be 24 here really soon. So we had kids early in life.
And your daughter just got married.
Yeah, she did. Back in August, she got married, and she's loving it. You know, she married a really good. She made a really good catch. So it was good.
We will talk about that wedding in a few minutes, but Micheal,
Okay.
My ministry is called Healing and Made Free.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I have somebody on the show doesn't mean they were healed or doesn't mean they were made free. But we can see and we can believe by faith that healing will come to our family. Healing will come to our children. So those of you that are watching, you want to have somebody watch this because Micheal is going to talk about his son who is in the process of wearing women's clothing and possibly transitioning. Micheal, your son came to you and said, you know, Dad, I'm gay.
Mm-hmm.
How did you respond to that? As a father, having one son, one daughter, but having one son. Talk to me about that.
Okay. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not proud of this. It was not a good response, I should say. Let me rephrase that. I didn't respond correctly. I reacted. And we were shocked. We felt shame. We felt anger, and we fought a lot of fear, you know, because the truth of the matter is we work at a church, and who's the senior pastors, who are my in-laws, are pretty well known. It's a big church, and we were hearing lies and thoughts that if word got out that this would ruin the ministry would cave and everything, and so we suffered in silence. We really did, and the only thing that we knew to do, we had. I never had met you, but I had heard of you because you're still connected to the church that I still work for, and so it was interesting that we reached out to you and contacted you and made a trip down to Texas and to get some answers. You know, really to get some answers, and it took a long time for me to properly respond to that. When I say a long time, this was 2014, and the Lord taught me some things in January of 2018. that really revolutionized my life and the way I respond to my son, and it really has helped me going forward.
Let me interject here because you said something that I think a lot of dads and parents need to think about. You said that you were afraid, or somebody said to you that your son living that life or the possibility of going into that life would impact the church. So, does that mean at that time you were more concerned about how the church felt versus how your son felt?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we're more concerned about the bigger picture, and the impact of the church, and there was a lot of things that up until the last 4 years that even with my wife's parents, we really didn't talk about. They really didn't understand the full scope and magnitude of what we were dealing with as a family, because we are a Word of Faith church, so there's this whole thing of the power of your words. You have to, you got to be careful on not saying negative confessions and all this stuff. And we really got into overthinking things in that aspect, and because we felt like we couldn't talk about it, we didn't have anybody. And I know you recommended us to even reach out to two of your board members who faithfully serve in our area in ministry here at the church, because of our relationship with. We didn't know them, there's this trust issue and whatnot, and we really didn't know. We never did reach out to them. It wasn't until the last few years that I stepped into the role that I'm in now that I've gotten to know them, because I work with them, because I help oversee the area where they serve in. And I really have gotten to know their hearts, and I've been kicking myself in the rear end. It's like, man, why didn't we just trust and go to them and talk to them? Because I think that would have helped us a lot sooner than in those first few years.
Michael, I think by you even saying that will help other dads, because men have a hard time not only just trusting, but going to somebody for help. Moms don't have a problem with that, most of us. But when people and their families are struggling with this issue, they want to keep it a secret. They want to keep it in the family. They don't want to tell nobody. And knowledge is powerful, because my motto is, when you know better, you do better. So, son, and I understand what you went through. And that's all almost like me going on medication. I was bulimic for many years, and I keep kicking myself thinking, even though I'm on 10 milligrams, and I was ashamed to even tell somebody that, I was bulimic for so many years. I was like, oh, whatever normal feels like, I feel normal. I didn't have to go through all that pain that I went through. So I do understand that. But moving forward, just think of the wisdom that you had to minister and talk with other dads. Your son, correct me if I'm wrong, is he autistic?
Yes, he is he's high functioning autism. And so, yes. So there's that other layer. That's that other layer of things that we have to deal with,
And a lot of people don't think autistic kids are high functioning. Your son is, and the reason why I know he's high functioning, because if he's talking about wanting to be homosexual, transitioning, the kid is able to think and live for himself and work, even though there's still other things that he still has to deal with. Michael, as a father. And like I said, I just had David pick up on, he's a psychotherapist and he works a lot with men. And I would highly recommend people going to him.
Mm-hmm.
As a dad, you mentioned not necessarily shame, but at the same time, you were shameful about letting people know that, oh my gosh, my son might be gay. And when you came to talk with me and we talked about it, and I had an opportunity to chat with your wonderful son, even though I talked with him, he still needed to and chose to go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
As a dad, watching your son go through the process of fluidity or transitioning, how does that make you feel?
Well, man, it was really hard. I'm not going to be honest with you. There was because he came out when he first came out. He said, "I'm gay." Okay. Then a few years later, he started talking about being non-binary, and then the last year and a half, he started talking about feeling like he was a woman. And at one point, we were like, me and my wife, we were like, why can't we just why can't we just um, why can't we just be why can't he just be gay, right? Why does he have to be so complex? I mean, we can wrap our head around uh, the gay aspect. But this whole non-binary, what does that mean? What is pansexual? What is all of this? I don't understand the he pronouns, and all that stuff. I just don't get it. So it was very confusing. But once I got this revelation that why am I embarrassed? Because this is not my sin. This doesn't reflect who I am. This is the enemy. This is Satan that is confusing my kid. So once I got over the embarrassment stage, man, I've been more free to talk about it. Same with my wife. We were no longer afraid. My wife actually talked about it over a year ago on Facebook, and the ministry didn't fall apart. It didn't. Nobody said anything except for all kinds of positive stuff. Man, we're praying for you and all that stuff. So yeah, it was very interesting, but it took years for us to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that dads might think it's a reflection of how they raised their son, or they didn't spend enough time with him, or mom didn't spend enough time with her, but we're talking about dad, so we'll stay there? Or, I've been gone too much. I was paying more attention to ministry and I didn't give my child enough of my time and enough of my love and attention?
Yes, I did. I did for sure. Because we were going through in our family in the first 18 years of 18, 19 years of my life with being married, 20 something years, I should say. Man, we had a lot going on. My wife was manic depressive. Then we got this autistic son. We got, then he tells us he's gay, and there was, and because I felt like a failure as a dad, as a husband, and there was a lot of issues that were going on. So I was self-medicating on other distractions with sports and video games and whatnot, and just trying to escape from all of this stuff because I never had that really tight connection with my son, like I did with my dad. And so I did feel like a failure in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, I did blame myself
Mm-hmm.
for a long time for
Mm-hmm.
this, you know.
How do you feel today? Do you still blame yourself, or are you at a better place?
Oh, I'm at a better place for sure. I
What
am
caused
way
that?
better.
What helped
Uh,
you to get at a better place? So other dads that are listening maybe can use some of your examples on what helped you get to the place where you're at now, where you don't have the shame and the guilt, etc.
uh, be completely honest. I received a revelation of love like I'd never had before, and walking in love, and seeing my son through that lens. That love keeps no record of wrong. Love is not easily offended.
Mm-hmm.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love never fails. And once I got that revelation of no matter how dark he goes, no matter how far he goes, he is still truly loved by Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that he can do that's not going to determine uh, how much he is loved by our Heavenly Father. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, so I started, instead of reacting to him, I began to respond to him. You know, reaction comes out of fear and anger, you know, and it could come across very harsh. But love, you know, it comes, responding comes out of love, and you know, sometimes love hurts, you know, and so we need to be truthful with them. So I've had to learn how to pose my questions, pose how I talk to him, because not only does he say this, that he's gay and all that, but he's been at one point over the last few years, he's gone from being saying he's atheistic to a Hellenist to, hey, I do believe that your God does exist. I just don't think he's the only one. So I'm like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
that's progress. Praise the Lord, you know. So so right, and so it really comes down to truly loving them. So for me, I've had to, because of the autism, I've had to pose my questions when I talk to him is in a way of, hey, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want you to respond to me. It's a question that I want you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I preface my question with that, and then I preface it with this. If I'm right and you're wrong, blah, 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 and ask my question. You know, so I've learned to be very strategic on how I how I talk to him. And we got into on a lot of areas. We've gotten to where we agree to disagree on issues. And but he recently, over the last year, he said, "This is a kid who you could feel the hatred towards me." You know, and over the last year, he said he told his mother that, hey, I'm not, I don't feel uh, as much as I know my dad is not going to uh, get him to believe with my lifestyle. In other words, I don't use his given name that he's calling himself. Uh, and I am not, uh, I don't use the she pronouns. I still, and that took a long time because he felt like it was disrespect and whatnot. But through therapy, he's realized that I'm not gonna agree with his lifestyle, but he knows that I love him no matter what.
Well, I'm assuming that your wife doesn't use the pronouns or call him a different name either, does she?
Well, what she does when she is in his presence, she will use the child. She came up with her way of addressing him without using any pronouns, and I do everything I can when I'm not using pronouns in front of him.
Right.
I just have to really think about what I'm saying and being strategic where I'm not saying something that's going to offend him.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to. Go ahead.
And you don't want to walk on eggshells either.
Right.
At all. And I don't think you should, because I tell people, if you're living in my house, I will respect you. However, if I had kids, I raised you a certain way. But what we don't want to do is to support their ideology or their beliefs, because it really is putting them in a position where, okay, I got mom and dad just where I want them. Then they'll accept me wearing a dress. Michael, this is too good not to have a second part. Those of you that are watching Healing and Made Free, this is Michael, which is spelled Micheal, not Ael, Minton. He has a son that I want to talk about who is transitioning, and he did something that took Michael and the family by surprise. But Michael, before we end this segment, can you give out your email address if a pastor or a family wants to reach out to you or a dad to talk with you? I want them to be able to do that. Could you give them your email address, please?
Sure. I'll give you my home email address. It's Michael Minton, all one word, with a EAL. That's MICHEALMINTON at MAC.com.
Michael, it is an honor to have you on Healing and Made Free with Janet Boynes. We got to do a second part. Thank you for being on, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for listening to Healing and Made Free with Janet Boynes. Acts 10:34 says, God is no respecter of persons. God doesn't play favorites, which means what he has done for Janet, what he has done for guests on this show, he will do for you too. If you are struggling with anything, do not hesitate to reach out to Janet Boynes Ministries. They will do their best to help you any way they can. Go to the website, janetboynesministries.com. Janet loves you, and most importantly, God loves you. Have a blessed day.